So this module is going to we're going to discuss AB operator responsibilities. Also, Oneida's process for hiring and retaining your retail associates. Also, we want to talk and cover some of the challenges that you might have faced regarding operator training. I think to assist actually with this discussion, today we've invited Eric McLester, General Manager for Oneida's Retail Division. I'd like to welcome you, Eric. Can you briefly describe Oneida's retail operations?
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, Oneida is fortunate to have multiple fuel stations, convenience stores across the reservation. We've got 7 stores. 6 of them are branded with the Mobil Exxon brand, and one of them is a Shell branded station. And they provide fuel, convenience goods, and discount cigarettes. And it's a major source of income for the tribe. And it's also a major source of employment for the tribe also.
At any given time, how many employees do you have on staff?
At our peak time, we probably have 125 employees. Currently, we're operating with just around 100 employees. And we've had to make some adjustments because of the COVID. So we've reduced hours, limited operations in some areas. Come summertime, during our peak time, we probably will get back up to about 125 employees.
Now, as you know, federal regulations require all stores and fueling facilities to have an A, B, and C operator all times. How are these responsibilities organized by the Oneida Nation?
Well, all retail associates are required to obtain the proper operator designation for their specific position. So our frontline associates have to pass and be certified for the Class C operator designation. The retail store managers and the assistant managers have to pass the Class C and B operator designation. And then our retail field specialists, the assistant general managers, and myself have to have the Class A, B, and C operator designation.
Okay, so for the A operator, the person that's ultimately responsible for ensuring all these federal regulations are met, can you tell us a little bit about the training you had to take?
Yeah, we use the EPA's approved website, the www.petroleumclassroom.com, and that's where we get all our certifications from. So the Class A operator has to take classes and be certified through that process with that training. And field specialists, the assistant general managers, and myself are required to take that training, and we're all in the process. Of course, our field specialist has all those certifications. It's a full-time position that's dedicated strictly to ensuring that we maintain compliance in all areas of regulations and standards. He's certified Class A, B, and C. He's been trained to perform all the tests, checks, walkthroughs that are necessary to maintain compliance. I know that he's gone through training with you. He was trained by the operations manager. He's the one that's responsible for performing all the inspections. He uses the PEI 500 and 600 or 500 and 900 checklists. He's also the trainer that trains all our location managers and assistant managers on how to perform the monthly inspections.
Great. So I know I'm sure you've had to take that EPA's online exam.
Yes.
How difficult did you find that?
There were some segments where I had to repeat
Got it.
classes. It's a challenging class for sure.
It's unlimited times you can take it, and afterwards you just print off your certificate. That actually satisfies that part of the regulation. So let's move on to the B operator, such as like your store manager. What kind of training, because each site is a little different than the next. Can you explain a little bit about the training that they go individually?
Yeah, the Class B operator designation is an online class that they have to take to get that certification. And retail has a training specialist, and that part of her responsibility is to make sure that those managers and assistant managers are getting in there, taking the classes, and making sure that they have that certification. They're also the ones responsible by location to maintain. We have a red binder that we call the Red Book that maintains all the records, inspections, all the information, repairs, and maintenance is maintained in that. And the Class B, which are the store managers, are the ones responsible for maintaining that. Our field specialist also comes in and double checks to make sure that the red book's maintained. The store managers are doing their daily walkthroughs and daily inspections, but the store managers is responsible. And in the past, it was the store manager that was responsible for the monthly inspections, but late last year, we found that it just wasn't working ideally. It wasn't happening consistently like we wanted to. So that responsibility was transferred over to the the field specialist. So now he's doing that on a regular monthly basis. He's maintaining the records for that. The field specialist is the one that does the training. And in the absence of the field specialist, then the store managers are responsible for doing those monthly inspections. So he makes sure that they're trained. They know how to fulfill those responsibilities.
Sounds like there's a lot of responsibilities, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why your A and B operators have up to 30 days to get trained and get necessary testing completed. It kind of moves us into like your C operators. C operators need to be trained prior to starting. Can you dive in a little bit and tell about the training that they have to take?
Yeah, part of their orientation, which is all done by our training specialists, is to make sure that they go in and get that certification prior to them starting on the job. We understand that has to be done prior to them coming on site. So that's part of her job, is to make sure that that's completed during orientation. And then the store managers are responsible, as part of their orientation to the location, is to show them throughout the store where the emergency shutoff is and what their responsibility is in store. So there's a training specialist who does it as part of orientation. They get certified. Once they get into the store manager also does location-specific training for them.
That's great. And I'm sure you're aware. I mean, I worked for Oneida Retail for, I think it's 17 years before I came into the environmental division. I was kind of responsible for taking stick readings of the fuel tank, making sure there was enough spill pad, sure why I was doing what I had to do. So it's great to hear that you do have some training in place, just to show these employees are like very important part of keeping a safe environment, especially when you're dealing with multiple tanks. Just how to respond to releases is huge. So that's very cool. You mentioned earlier that you have someone with fuel specialist, I believe it was. So if you could talk a little bit about why you have them doing your monthly walkthroughs compared to, say, your managers doing them at each location.
Well, it's a new position that was created and filled last year. And part of the reason was the store managers have a lot of responsibility. They are expected to do a lot. This past year now with COVID and the additional sanitation and cleaning that they were responsible indoor, at the pump, throughout the store, it was just a lot of work for them to then also maintain and do the monthly inspection. So with the field specialist on board, even though he had done the training for all of the managers, we just felt that it would be a better use of his time and the store manager's time if that responsibility was transferred over to the field specialist. And he's much more familiar with what needs to be done. He does it at 7 locations, so it's not quick, but he can do a thorough job relatively quickly compared to the store manager, because he's just so much more familiar with what he has to go through.
So would you say too that those monthly inspections are done consistently then at all of your locations?
Yes, he's got a set calendar every month that he knows that these 3 or 4 days he's going to be out doing inspections. We know it's happening consistently. It's maintained in the red book. With the store manager, they might get the inspection done, but then they might not maintain the red book. So it was a matter of him always going back out there and saying, it's great you did the inspection, but you forgot to make sure that it's updated in the red book. So with him doing it, we know consistently every month, these 3 days out of the month, 4 days out of the month, it's getting done. Records are being maintained and kept up, and we know that we're up to par with what we're required to complete every month.
So if a problem is found during a monthly walkthrough, can you describe what the process is for correcting or documenting?
Yeah, the field specialist, if he found something wrong in any part of that inspection, he would contact our provider to do a work order and have them come in and do the repairs. Very rarely, if there's something he can fix, he would fix it, but very rarely is it something that he would do the repairs on. We would call our third party repair service, and they would come in, and then that would get documented, what he found, the work order, requesting the repairs to be made, and then the documentation that the repairs were completed.
So I know you've just recently made improvements to one of your locations. Could you just describe that a little bit, and maybe some of the issues that arose, or maybe notifications about the work that was done?
Yeah, we had inspections that were showing that the overhead canopy and some of the underground wiring and pumps and fittings, were getting old or corroded, so overdue for replacement. And so we were fortunate enough to be able to go in and replace the canopy and all the hardware and all the wiring that was necessary for those pumps. And as part of that project, that location didn't have diesel prior to this, so we added a third island and another underground storage tank with diesel, so we could provide diesel at that location. It changed the insurance on that, so we had to go through a process to get additional insurance coverage because of the changes there, and that was something new to several of us. So we went through and worked with our risk management to get the proper insurance and make sure that we maintain the coverage that was necessary for that site.
Perfect. Like I said, I'd like to thank you for taking the time today to speak with us a little bit about your ABC operators, some of the challenges. And like I said, thank you again for taking the time to talk
Sure,
to us. Thank you.
My pleasure.